Welcome to the very first Ask George segment. Going forward every Saturday, hopefully every Saturday, I will be taking questions from the viewers, from you guys, but this is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be one-on-one. Most of you guys know I do Q&A during my live streams, and there are a lot of questions being asked left and right. But this is a little different, more personal, and I'm going to spend a lot more time answering each and every question. And these questions are submitted via my website, CryptosRUs.com. In case you want to submit your own question, you do need to submit a video, okay? You need to submit a video of yourself asking a question. I'm going to blur out the face, so no worries about showing a face. Or you can submit simply an audio track. But you need to submit something so that I could play it. And you guys will hear the very first one from Sergio in a second. So if you are interested, make sure you submit your question via this form on my website. And I will do my best to pick out the best ones to answer and give you my personal perspective, about that question. And I'll do my best. And these questions could be, of course, crypto related. Most of you guys do want your crypto questions answered, but also it could be about anything. Finances, it could be about being an influencer, starting your own channel. It could be about money. It could be about sports, since you guys know I love sports and cars, right? It could be about anything. All right, so with that said, let's get started. Sergio, he has a very important question. And I think a lot of you guys can relate. I know a lot of you guys definitely relate. So let me play it for you guys, and then let me answer.
What's up, George? We're all George. So basically I'm from South Africa. I only got involved in crypto in November. It was crazy when I got involved. I was like, what is this? Why am I making so much money? Then we went through to Jan. For some unknown reason, I got lucky. Invested in Trump coin as well. Made money. Then January came and started investing more, and my wins from the Trump coin, and then everything just went downhill from there. Been DCAing up till now. It's been tough. Made my money back on Bitcoin. But yeah, super stressed out. No idea what to do. I'm DCAing, I'm hodling. I just need some guidance. Am I doing the right thing? I believe in Bitcoin. And Joe, you're one of my favorites. So just let me know what you think I should do going further. Should I just wait, see what happens? Because I feel like it's around the corner, but I don't know. And I'm new to this, and but I believe in it.
All right. So Sergio, I believe, is in a spot that a lot of you guys are in. Okay. Every cycle, when we have these like little euphoria stages, we get a whole bunch of people pulled in because of all the money that's being made, right? And people are sharing with their friends and family like, oh my God, I just made $1 million on this, or I made like $10,000 in a day doing this, right? We hear about that all the time. So it sounds like Sergio is one of them that for one reason or another got pulled in 2024, made a bunch of money, especially with Trump coin. And now since then has been, I'm assuming, in the red because alts and memes have not recovered, right? Every cycle we hear about this. The last cycle, we heard Shiba pull in a ton of people. Okay, and the cycle before that, of course, you had others that pulled in a lot of people, but primarily, just know, Sergio, Bitcoin is obviously the big daddy. It's the very first digital currency I talk about all the time. I'm not going to go into why Bitcoin is the best, but I understand why so many are not in Bitcoin or not exclusive in Bitcoin because of the alts. And now more so than ever the memes, because memes were really not that popular before, but now they are one of the biggest drivers of retail investors in the space. So a little bit about the basics. Every cycle, and I've been through, this is my fourth one, every cycle is driven by Bitcoin because Bitcoin has an halving event. Okay, the halving event is basically it's predestined, programmed by Satoshi himself, and that means every 4 years there's a halving event. The block rewards get cut in half, the inflation rewards get cut in half, and this is part of the gamification that's built into Bitcoin and part of the scarcity factor because Bitcoin will only have 21 million coins ever. Okay. So traditionally speaking, in the previous cycles, you have these 4-year cycles, but about 2.5 years of that is us declining, going to crypto winter, and a year and a half of that recovering and making a new high. So during the 1.5 years, okay, that's usually after a halving event. Okay, so the year of the halving event and the year after that, that's usually when things get good. That's usually when you want to get your money in, and sounds like you were among the many that did come in because we had our halving event in 2024, okay, and right around the end of that, like starting from October, basically when Trump got elected, is when we started recovering up in a big way. Keep in mind, our last high in 2021 for Bitcoin was about 69,000, and we broke that recently in 2024, especially the tail end. That's when we kept going and hit that new high of 109,000, right? So I would say that's normally how it goes, but this cycle has been different because we had so many catalysts. In previous cycles, it was almost like faith-based, that you follow this cycle, you look at these metrics, and this is how it's going to be. And it was like almost a self-fulfilling prophecy because many people just followed it, and it worked for so many times. This cycle, definitely different. This cycle, we got the introduction of ETFs, made a huge difference, and Bitcoin right now is led by institutions and not retail. And you can say that's good and bad at the same time. Bitcoin was created for the people, by the people. So really, in theory, we would like it so that all Bitcoin is held by retail investors like you and I. But the reality is this cycle brought in so many big boys, the big money, the smart money from Wall Street and others. So they are definitely leading the charge this cycle. So ETFs, a big catalyst. That's what actually brought us to a new high in 2024, early 2024, but even before the halving event. That's never happened before. So that's a first, and that's because of the ETFs and the institutional buying. Now, another big catalyst, one that you benefited from, Sergio, is the Trump election, right? After he won, from November to January, everything went up. Not just Bitcoin and crypto, but stocks, everything flew up. A lot of people made a lot of money during then. And then, you know what? The honeymoon kind of faded, right? Because that's when Trump started announcing his policies around the tariffs and equaling trade and all that. And that's when people got scared. And, you know, the Fed fund rate, you know, we were on a path of cutting until all the tariffs were announced, and then that kind of stopped too, right? So it kind of spooked on the market, but if you think about it, you know, the markets were just too heated to begin with. From November to January, you know, things went up 2, 3, 4x within a short amount of time, so things needed to cool off anyways. Now that the honeymoon is over, you know, it's back to reality, right? Like you said, you've been DCing into Bitcoin and you're back. Basically, no one holding and DCing Bitcoin right now should be down. We're at 106,000. Our previous high was 109, and we briefly hit 111, 112. So if you've been DCing, you're in the green, or at least even, right? And Bitcoin, and that's because I just mentioned, because of ETFs, institutions, you got Michael Saylor's strategy. Everyone's buying. Bitcoin is scarce. So That's the reason why it has recovered so nicely. It's so strong. And if you watch my videos, you know I talk a lot about the macro conditions of the U.S. and other countries. They're not so good. And it's another reason why so many are putting their money into Bitcoin. That's why I've always said have a good amount of Bitcoin in your portfolio because it is the best and strongest, and that's not going to change. Now, as for the alts and memes, I think that's primarily what these are primarily what you want to ask about. In my opinion, altcoin season will still come, just like all the previous cycles, but I think things are a little bit different now. This cycle versus previous cycles. For example, in the 21 cycle, you only had a few memes that really did well. Doge and Sheeb and maybe like Floki and a few others. But you had like a handful of memes that did well. Now you have like a million memes. No joke. There's over a million memes. You have even what's considered a big cap meme. Okay. There's dozens of. Pepe is a new big cap meme. Seems like it's been around forever. It hasn't. And then you have many others too, like Pepe. You have like Bonk and Whiff. I mean, these are like considered a big cap memes. And then you have like the new mid cap memes and the new memes and then the new ultra like I don't know, the pump.fun memes that are coming out every single day, right? So the market is quite diluted. And same thing with the alts. Back in 2021, you really had ETH, and that was it. Everything, tokenization, ICOs, NFTs, they were all the volume, all the transactions conducted on one chain, ETH. And then you had other L1s, like, for example, Solana, BNB, Avalanche, even Hedera, Cardano, and then you had a lot of gaming chains like Immutable and Injective and all these guys. They came out around that time, but they're all fairly new. Okay? They were trying to grab a share, like a little pie from Ethereum. But you look at this cycle, like the memes, we have a million different L1s. Now we have L2s too, like Arbitrum, Optimism, Metis, and then you got like a few others. So the landscape has changed because there's just a lot more projects now. There's dilution, basically. Okay. So with that said, altcoin season normally starts at the tail end of a bull run. So if you look at like 2021, the bull run really hit, okay, the last 2-3 months of 2021, right before Fed Chair Powell in America announced he was going to start hiking rates. If you look at 2017, 2018, same thing. Like from December to January, mid-January, that's when things really ran up. So altcoin season, generally speaking, is the last few months of a cycle. So will that happen this year? I believe so. I believe that October, November, December this year, we're going to see the same thing. You're going to see a lot of alts go up. Okay? But I think because of how many new projects there are and how many new memes there are, you have to be a little bit more selective. Okay? Not everything will go up a 10x, 15x, 20x. I think there are certain ones that will, but not everyone because there's just so many more projects now. And it's also the reason why I think like at this stage of this cycle, because if you look at this stage of the cycle, normally alts are a little bit stronger. Okay? But they're not because, again, the money is just kind of spread all over the place. Rather, before, there were only a few places that money would be consolidating in. So, I guess to round up and to finalize my answer to you is, every cycle, we have these like little pockets of euphoria. And if you watch my show, I show you guys the charts, right? Every parabolic rise, every parabolic phase, that 1.5 years I mentioned, it doesn't just go straight up in a linear line like that. when you zoom out, it may look like that, but when you really pay attention, it's more like a stair step. And sometimes not a flat stair step. It's more like you get to a point and then you kind of dip down a little bit, and then you go back up, dip down a little bit. So you just caught one of the good moments, right? But if you look at right now, Bitcoin is certainly coming back up. And if Bitcoin goes up, the money is going to follow. And the alts are coming back up. They're not as high as they were in December and January, but a lot of them have definitely come up from their lows, right? The lows of March and April, they were pretty darn low. And now things have come back a little bit. And a lot of them are much higher and closer to their January high. So if you're holding the good ones, okay, it doesn't matter if it's memes or L1s, L2s, or any other project. If you're holding the good ones, meaning that they have a strong community, they're led by strong leaders that are not giving up. If they're creating something, partnerships, or developing, right? If you're holding one of these projects and their coins or tokens, there's a good chance it will come up, because during altcoin season, everything goes up, generally speaking, and forms a new high. Even if they don't go up as crazy as before, there's always a chance they will come at least back to their previous high, right? So I don't think, unless you are just like putting your money everywhere, okay, I do think if you're staying with the basics and you have a few memes like Trump, there's a good chance they will come back, right? But DCA is still the right strategy. Just like Bitcoin, if you DCA into the good projects, you will get your money back and probably make some money in the process. But it's part of the cycle. It's part of the 4-year cycle where you have to be patient and wait it out. Most people that are FOMOing in or jumping in during one of these euphoria pockets, they do so because they make a lot of money, they don't quite understand, and then they get stuck, and then they don't want to wait. Because generally speaking, it's not like that. Even in a 4-year cycle, you're waiting 4 years. Or if you get in at a good part, right at the bottom of the crypto winter, you're still waiting 1.5 years, right? So if you think about it, for your perspective, you've been holding since January. It's only June. It's 5 months. You made your money back on Bitcoin, it sounds like. You may be down on Trump coin. Others, I don't know what you have. They will probably come back. My honest opinion about Trump coin is I would not be holding it. There's too much controversy behind the creation of it, the family behind it, and now this thing with Trump wallet. There's a lot of craziness with it, okay? World Liberty Financial, which is another company that Trump family is associated with, is suing Trump wallet from the creator of Trump coin, right? So me personally, I don't hold any. I don't plan on getting any. Can Trump coin go back to their previous high? Sure, there's always a chance, right? But with all the controversy that's happening now, the infighting with Elon and everything else that's going on, right? I'm just not sure that it's going to do all that well going forward, okay? But if you are holding a lot of the bigger crypto projects, like, I don't know if you're an XRP guy or Solana guy or a Sui guy, right? A Cardano guy. These projects are still down like 30-40% from their January high. These, I know for a fact, will get back to their January high and will continue forward and make new highs later this year. So that's kind of my whole thing. I said a lot. Hopefully this helps you, because it sounds like you are new in this space. And whether or not you need to make moves, that's up to you. But just know that altcoin season generally comes at the end of this cycle, the 4-year cycle, which I think will be later this year. And I think the good projects will definitely get back to their previous high and break through. So DCA is still the right strategy. And of course, Bitcoin is Big Daddy, and everyone new should always be involved with Bitcoin. And if you live through the last 4 months, you'll know why it shows the most strength and performance too. If you look at the performance of Bitcoin this cycle, very, very, very little memes or alts have outperformed it, right? All right, guys, that's it for this very first Ask George. Hopefully this was enjoyable for you guys and educational, and I want to do more like this in the future, hopefully about some funner topics as well. So if you are interested, head to CryptosRUs.com and submit your question. Make sure you record a good one for me for next week.